really, you can spoil a customer and do something really cool for them, because now there's the profit margin and the buffer to be able to do it. You can really treat somebody to something that they will never forget. You can literally give them the Disney World experience.
You are now listening to the Creative Juice podcast, brought to you by Entrepreneur.io.
What's up, Indies? Welcome back to Creative Juice. This is the podcast where we cover growing and monetizing a fan base and building a music career with marketing strategies that are working right now based on what we see every single day inside of our music marketing agency, IndieX, and across our community of thousands of artists and bands. Hope you enjoy and subscribe. This is episode 385. I'm your host, Jack McCarthy. We're going to be continuing our discussion on offers we wish every artist knew about. And I'm with you here today with my beloved co-host and partner, Circa. Cirque, what's up, dude? You're beloved to me. Beloved.
Not much, dude. I'm excited to talk about some high-ticket offers.
Me too, man. This is going to be a good one. Today, we're going to be talking about profit maximizers in your music business and how to use them and when to use them. This is the third offer in our offer series of things that we wish every artist knew about, thought about, used, and built their businesses around. And I think that this is a mega underutilized offer type, and it's really powerful, and it builds amazing experiences and connections with your fans. And so I'm super pumped to talk about it.
I'm pumped, dude.
Last week, we talked about self-liquidating offers. This is a bit of an opposite discussion. I like how last week, Cirque, you talked about the temptation after, building self-liquidating offers into your marketing strategy, that it's tempting to be the artist that always discounts down, that you rely upon that. Talking about high ticket offers on the back of that, I think will be useful to setting the frame of like, okay, so how can you go to the other end of the spectrum here and think about how to provide something maximally cool to your fans and charging accordingly for it. And I think this is something that a lot of artists struggle with. We definitely see artists who struggle to price themselves appropriately across their stores and the things that they're selling. But also, I think artists struggle to cook up things that they could really sell for a lot of money because it's really cool and valuable and limited, and price that accordingly, and then actually go and sell it to people who would want it.
Yeah, and just like last time, hopefully we're able to explain this in the context of, where it exists in your education in digital marketing. It's interesting because this case is kind of the opposite of the last week, where it's like the last thing people reach for. It has like a far more favorable trade-off profile than SLOs, and it's far less immediate rewards. If SLOs are the steroids, this is the working out for 7 years kind of.
Yeah. Dude, it's interesting. Like, as we were talking through this topic, I had a hunch, and I don't have the data on this, and I would love to gather some data on this. So maybe I can bring it back to Creative Juice another time. But I have a hunch that artists really do reach for high ticket offers, oftentimes really late in their careers. Like, you see this with legacy artists a lot of times who throw experiences, and maybe that's just by nature of them having enough capital in their business to put together these sorts of things where they can eat the upfront cost of doing it for the favorable back end of getting people to say yes to it. But you think about things like the cruise ships and the novelty experiences and things like that, and it's oftentimes something that artists do later in their careers. And my hunch is that I actually would love to see more artists pull it up earlier in their careers, especially when they're coming up and people are sort of like the most frenetic about being their fans because there's an energy surrounding them, that they're kind of like a new thing, that there's these sort of like cultural moments happening one after another as an artist builds up and releases things and starts to tour and their audience really grows. That's really kind of like the opportunity to pull out this arrow and target. And you can do it in a way that really makes sense. Whereas, like, if you're doing it a little later on in your career, not that fans think this way, and I don't want to put this out to artists and make them worry about it, but like, sometimes people do say like, oh, there's that artist like doing a cash grab because they're old or whatever. And again, like, I'm not saying that's the reality. It's not. And you should use high ticket offers across the span of your entire career. You absolutely should. And don't worry about being old. But I have that as a hunch that like younger artists or greener artists, newer artists, as they come up in their business, have just as much opportunity to leverage this as artists that are further along in their career.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's really, we could explain a little bit. I think it's really helpful if you go watch the last episode so we don't have to like put a bunch of infrastructure for understanding up front here.
We'll link to that in the show notes. Make sure you listen to it.
Yeah. Go check out literally the last episode because we kind of went over, and the episode before that, this is like a 3-episode arc. That said, in the last episode, we talked about how the trade-offs are pretty unfavorable for an SLO, but it is the quick hit. It's the drug. It's the heroin. It's like what everyone wants. It validates you that you can sell stuff online. It does it pretty reliably. And it generally tends to at least pay for the marketing costs while skyrocketing your like operational requirements, right? You have to like learn how to ship. You have to learn how to ship at high volume. You have to like figure out how to do like printing runs and shit. There's a lot of like other stuff you have to figure out once SLOs start being successful. It's actually like harder once they start working. So the trade-offs are a bit unfavorable because you're devaluing your product. You are inviting in a lower quality of customer, of fan really. And you are kind of probably going to see a marked decrease in your second purchase rate, the rate at which people who bought one product from you end up buying a second thing because the customer quality is lower. Now, another trade-off I didn't really mention in the last episode, this is like a bonus trade-off to incentivize you to watch this episode.
What's an oxymoron? Bonus trade-off.
Yeah. The trade-off that we didn't really talk about is that because it's downstream of your second purchase rate, but just the fact that oftentimes if you introduce an SLO super early, which is what people tend to do because they're frustrated with not selling as much because their infrastructure is not in place. So they do this SLO, and it tends to be, since it requires like 2 to 3 products to even run successfully with a free push shipping and handling funnel, a self-liquidating offer will usually occupy all of the products that you have to sell.
Yeah.
And so you actually have nothing to actually sell for a second purchase. And in many cases, we've seen that like indies aren't selling second offers because there is no second offer. There's like, they've exhausted their entire product catalog in the SLO funnel.
Yeah.
And so the whole point of an SLO is to raise second purchase rate. Like rather raise the whole number. Your rate's going to drop, but if you just 2x your amount of new customers, your rate has to drop 50% for it to not be a win. Okay. So it's usually a win if you have like a catalog of products and you've done multiple releases before and there's a whole world for people to dive into. But if you're brand new and that's not the case, then like an SLO is going to make you frustrated, overworked, and poor. You know, it's just probably going to do that. And so that's one of the trade-offs of SLOs we didn't really go over, is that it often exhausts a younger, earlier artist's whole product catalog. There's really nothing enticing for people to come back and buy. Okay. That's a problem because you're locked to your lifetime value of all your customers is like $15, and you have a very hard time getting it above that. So you can only really ever spend like $7.50, $10 to get a customer, and that's not ideal. Okay. High ticket offers, conversely, the way that high ticket offers operate is that there are people who you will encounter who end up liking your music, for whom the average sneaker pair costs $300, $400, for whom the average hoodie costs $300, $400. They buy designer brands. They are of means. They are rich. Okay. They don't care. Or another type of high ticket purchaser is someone who's not necessarily rich, but they are so enamored with your style and your music and what you got going on that they're willing to spend a paycheck on something you offer. And both are important. Now, until you have a high ticket offer, you'll never get that value. So if you have rich people coming into your ecosystem and everything you offer is $30, you're only going to get $30, or like $30 times 3 or whatever, right? So you have a paucity of products available earlier in your career. it behooves you to have one of 5 products be super high ticket. It's just mathematically going to work out better than if they're all lower. And so that's a trade-off, a sort of a beneficial trade-off of high ticket, is that it's the second you install it, it doesn't matter how big your audience is. If you encounter one of those people, you are safeguarded. They're going to see this higher ticket offer. They're going to know it's for them, which is often the case. Like if I'm a luxury purchaser and I'm in a store, I order products from high to low. I don't order them from low to high. You know how we all click the sort filter and we go low to high? There are people who go high to low. You're just not familiar with it because we grew up poor, okay? But it happens, I promise you, okay? And so you want something in there so that you don't let them slip through the cracks and you miss the opportunity forever to capture like maximal margin. One purchase from one of these people pays for 50, 100 SLO purchasers. It's on the house, okay? Money bags paid for it. Right? So like,
let's go deeper on that for a second, because number one, I'm glad you brought up the type, like who is a high ticket buyer, right? And it's 2 personas. It's people who just spend money on more expensive things, for one, and it's the person that maybe they don't spend money on more expensive things, but they love what you're about so much that they would spend more money on you.
Furthermore, they want to signify themselves as a more significant member of your community than everyone else.
Right, exactly. And those are 2 different kinds of people. Those are 2 different kinds of fans, 2 different kinds of customers, but it's important to set them apart. Number 2, I like what you said there about someone comes in and buys the high ticket offer and they pay for all of the low ticket offers coming in. Something to note here, when a customer buys something high ticket from you, what does that do to your overall customer lifetime value? It raises it. Your average of all of your customers goes up.
And yeah, it's not an anomaly, it's a rate. If you bring in 200 customers and one of them buys your high ticket, you got a 1 in 200 high ticket purchase rate. Okay. And if you can pay for another 200 now because of that high ticket purchase, you get another one. Like, okay, that's an important thing to keep in mind.
Yeah. These are like the business economics that people won't talk about when it comes to the kinds of offers that you put together. You have to think about this kind of stuff because it skews your business money in the direction that you want it to go. And it starts just by having high ticket offers.
You do the work of installing it in a month, like lightly working on it, and it's there forever. Whereas an SLO, you do the work of installing it across like a full last month where you're stressing out. And now you're stressing out for the next 6 months if it's successful. Especially if it's successful, you're stressing out.
So we've talked about how artists start doing this too late. And I would love to see more artists put this into place sooner. So what kind of things can you be thinking about when it comes to high ticket offers? Because I can think of a number of circumstances where I would tell an artist, like, the first thing you should do is this. Now, would I tell an artist with no fans that the first thing they should do is this, or a small fan base? No, definitely not. But if I was talking to an artist that had a large amount of fans and maybe they weren't getting ready to release something, go into launch mode, and we were talking about building an album launch campaign or something, I honestly might tell them, the first thing that you should do is you should pull out the test pressings from your last record and you should sell 5 of them for way more money and number them and hand sign them. And you should sell them for way more money.
I'll note that, some things we say, like, test this out, test it out, tell us like what your experience is. We don't expect it to work gangbusters for everyone. There's never been a time we've recommended what Jack just recommended and people didn't sell out of all of them and make way more than they ever expected they would. It literally is 5 for 0, like slam dunk.
Yeah, 100%. There's so many different types of offers that you can put together in this sort of high ticket area. Think about things like test pressings or limited edition merch, stuff that you've kind of just kept off to the side that you can now make incredibly exclusive and incredibly scarce. Think about experiences. This is one that if you're an artist that loves to play shows, I would highly encourage you, put a couple house shows on your tour routing and sell those.
Or just create a booking form or an inquiry form for house shows and then put it at the very tail end of any funnel you have. Because if someone makes it all the way through your funnel, they're pretty qualified. And then it's just there. And you don't even have to create a product. It's just there. And if you get an email about it, you might make, $2,000, $3,000, whatever. Like,
yeah. And you'll probably enjoy the process of doing it too. The cool thing about high ticket offers, in my opinion, is that it gives you a chance to, I'll say it this way, like a lot of artists, they say that the reason behind doing their music is because they know it's making an impact on people, right? It's changing lives. It's changing the lives of the people that are listening to it. A lot of times music saves people's lives. When you sell experiences, especially, it gives you an opportunity to take that to like its furthest extreme. And really, you can spoil a customer and do something really cool for them because now there's the profit margin and the buffer to be able to do it. You can really treat somebody to something that they will never forget. You can literally give them the Disney World experience.
yeah. And so we've kind of discussed a little bit how like SLOs, in the last episode, we said like self-liquidating offers, the right time to implement them is kind of at the end of your like maturation as a digital marketer / online business person, is because like it's a very specific tool that is 99.9% of the time misused. So it's better if you have full, complete information and a full awareness of your business mathematics before you ever try to employ it, because the trade-offs are steep. Okay. High ticket offers, like if it were feasible and like very low impact, I would have you implement them the first day you offer anything, because the actual detriment of you missing one of these whales, quote unquote, who comes through your fan base and like wants to support you at this level, that's a huge hit. If you get 2 of them through if you get 5 of them through before you ever have a high ticket offer, that's a huge miss. It's way bigger of an impact than you would think. So it behooves you to just have it, because it's a little checkpoint. It's like, I did that work. It's there in the background. And if it gets bought, great. But I don't have to do anything to maintain it.
Right.
So I would prefer you actually implement this super early. And the trade-off profile is very favorable. It's a one-time setup. And it more than pays for itself to have it. Now in SLO, now that we understand what the high ticket offer does for you and why it's valuable and why it's fine to set it up early, the SLO is actually a much better targeted tool to increase your raw number of higher ticket offers taken. And so here's a good, like maybe rule of thumb. If you are deploying a mid-tier product anywhere from $20 to $100, spin off a more limited edition variant. This isn't going to be $1,000, but it could easily be double or triple the price of the base product. Key example, if I'm putting out a CD, new album, you can buy the CD at $15 to $20, or you can buy a limited edition where I'm putting your name in the liner notes after I collect 200 orders. I'm only ever selling 200 of this. I'm never reprinting this edition. It has an extra song on it, and I will autograph it. And that's for $60. Okay. It makes complete sense to do that anytime with any base product. It's because it's very easy to spin off a variant, and you have economies of scale in that you're already paying to get it printed. So spinning off an extra variant is much lower cost than creating one wholesale new. And then have something that's worth $1,000 in your business. Have something that's worth even $5,000 in your business, and have it just be discovered very deep in the stack. Only when someone's purchased multiple things from you do you even reveal that this thing exists. Or maybe it's listed somewhere in your store, but not advertised. And just have it there, discoverable. And the point being is that, okay, now that we have this, what is the rate at which people who encounter this offer buy it? If it's 1 in 100, right? Let's say 1 in 100 people buy your $1,000 thing and you make $900 profit, okay? As long as I can get 100 people through the door and I don't pay for it, I make $900 profit every time I do it. So it behooves me then to just massively artificially inflate the rate at which people are coming through the door. And if it's self-liquidating, I'm paying nothing and getting $900 profit every time it works.
Right. Yep.
And that's where SLOs become this targeted expert tool in their toolkit, is they now have a stable purchase rate for a much higher ticket offer. And now they want to artificially inflate throughput so that they're hitting that buzzer more times per week, if that makes sense.
100%. Yeah, it definitely does. And I think you made a good point about artists have the opportunity to create higher ticket products probably easier than they think. Sure, you can go the full creative route of the Disney World experience of, you know, putting together house concerts or creating fan experiences, anything like that. You can think about custom songs, stuff like that. But you also can just look at and audit what you're already selling or about to sell and spin out high ticket versions of it or higher ticket versions of it. And you see no decrease in efficiency to do that. There's typically not much added cost to do it, which is great. And even if there is a little bit of added cost, it doesn't matter because you're making up for it because you're charging more money.
One thing you got to get out of your head early is it's actually very low impact to customer sentiment. Just lobbing the offer.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
Like, people do not care. If they don't want to buy it, they will just buy the base version. In fact, like, having this higher ticket variant of each base product makes the base product's price more attractive. It makes them feel like it's a better deal.
It's called price anchoring. Yeah.
Yes. They just won't take it. Like, they just won't. And now, yeah, they'll be anchored to the higher price when they see the base price. So it's free. In the world of trade-offs, that strategy is like basically free.
Yeah. The cool thing about this is, and I want to echo what you just said, is like, it truly has no impact on customer sentiment as far as like people being negative about it.
It might even have a positive impact on customers.
Yeah, true. But I'll prove it to you right now. Think about how many things you've been exposed to that were expensive in your life that you didn't buy. And now ask yourself, were you mad about it? Probably not.
And like, guess what? It's also a good filter, because someone who gets mad about something that like they were not compelled to buy and you just made them aware of it, you do not want that person in your customer base. I guarantee you.
You couldn't convince me otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah.
But think about that. If you need to work through that psychology in your head to get you over the hump of doing this, like, just think that way. And if you did get mad that somebody was selling something expensive, then maybe you should work on that. I'll just put that out there.
If that's you, don't buy any of our stuff, please.
Yeah. If you did that reflection and you did get mad, then there's some things to work through there. But for the vast majority of people, you probably didn't, and your customers won't either, because I can't think of anything that it's happened to me. And, you know, I probably have gotten exposed to plenty of high ticket offers over the years for a variety of different things, from services to stuff from artists to sports memorabilia. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. It's out there everywhere. That's the crazy thing. It's everywhere. And you just don't see it until you think about it.
Yeah, 100%. Another thing, creating a $10,000 espresso machine like Starbucks offers at some of their flagship stores, which is the exact high ticket thing we're talking about. The rich person will buy the espresso machine. The person who's just buying coffee every day, they just won't even see it. Like, they'll ignore it. Okay.
Dude, hold on. Hit pause for a second. Starbucks' LTV, customer LTV average is like 15K or something. I would actually really love to know how much of that is made up of the people who buy the expensive espresso machines versus just the regular coffee drinker. Sorry, just a nerd aside.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, who buys the? I'm sure there's more high ticket products they offer. This was made, and this might actually not even be true. This is just like marketing lore from this book called The 80-20 Principle. Oh, we don't actually know that Starbucks still offers this espresso machine. I did validate at one point that they did at one point offer it. We don't actually know if it's in all their stores or if they're thinking the same thing about it. Just to say it exists. And it's obviously many orders of magnitude higher in cost than the highest thing they offer next to it. Okay, that costs a lot to produce. It takes a lot to manufacture espresso machines. You don't have to do that. You can offer soft services like a house concert. Further, you don't even have to have a plan for how house concerts are supposed to work in order to register the checkpoint, okay? And this happens a lot, is in services-based businesses, or also in a lot of product-based businesses, right? They will put an offer on the website, and it'll be visible in the critical marketing path. Critical path means something you will see naturally if you interact with the business at all. So the critical path for like my computer starting up includes starting up shifts so I can talk to everyone in Slack. That's the critical path. Critical marketing path is like, if you see my ad, are you going to see this other thing? If you go to my website, are you going to see this other thing? Okay. There's zero costs for putting something in the critical customer path that you've never offered before, you don't have a fulfillment plan for, you have no idea how you're going to fulfill it if someone buys it tomorrow. That happens a lot. Why? Because the things that lots of people are going to buy, you need to have figured out already, because they're going to start buying it on day one. They're going to buy it a lot. And if you don't have an efficient process for fulfilling it, the costs are going to compound. The errors are going to compound. You're going to have unhappy customers. You have to really figure that out. When they ship the iPhone, they know exactly what's going to happen if stock is low. They know what stock is low means. They know, they know how it's supposed to be displayed in stores. They know about support. They figured out everything. Okay. But to offer a product that's only going to get bought once a month or once a year, you can figure all that out when someone buys it. And so the cost of you actually putting it in the critical path advertised it's almost nothing. It could be an afternoon. You could chat Jippity 4.0 some images of like what it's going to be like and call it a day, dude. And as long as it's something that speaks to you figuring out on the fly, like house concerts, you can discover what your process is for doing house concert booking, negotiations, taking payment, arranging travel. You can do all that once you actually get someone interested in it. And so putting up a booking form for it costs you nothing. And that's why it's like it makes me even more sense to introduce high ticket very early.
Dude, I will close with this because this is a great example of exactly what you just described in real life. We saw this with one of our agency clients back in the spring. They ran a crowdfunding campaign for their new record, and we were helping them spin out perks and incentives offers for it. And what did we do? We brainstormed with them a high ticket offer there was a custom song high ticket offer, I believe, and a house concert high ticket offer. Circa, do you think that they knew exactly how they were going to pull off the house concert high ticket offer in there when they planned this crowdfunding campaign?
I have to imagine not.
No. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Because they never could. They couldn't be like, oh, well, what if someone from XYZ faraway place does it? How will we pull it off if somebody gets sick? What instruments will we bring? Sure, you could plan all of that in advance, but you could most likely never account for all of the variables that might start you or stop you from doing this. And they did it anyway. And you know what it helped with? It helped make their crowdfunding campaign really profitable. And what's cool about this is that was a great example of it being right in the critical marketing path. People had to see it when they were looking at these incentives. It was right there as they were scrolling. Great opportunity right there. People took it. It's an easy sort of case study of exactly what you were describing because it was something they had to do. They most likely they got a few people taking it. So it wasn't like everyone who hit their crowdfunding page took it. So they didn't really have to worry about mass fulfillment on this thing. So they didn't need to worry about it. They could just put it in there and say, we're going to offer this. If people take it, we'll figure it out. Great. They did. That's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what you should do. Sans the crowdfunding campaign if you're not running a crowdfunding campaign. But if you are, they're a great place to put high ticket offers.
Hell yeah. HTO's early, SLO's late.
Yeah, I think that's all there is to say about high ticket. It's something that I wish more artists did earlier on in their careers and with more gusto, and they went and attacked it because it can be a real game changer. In the same way that SLOs pull revenue up, so do high ticket offers, just in the opposite way. It's really cool. So you should do it. Think about something cool that you can offer your fans and go make some money off of it because you work hard and your fans love you and you deserve to give them a cool experience and get paid some money to do it. So go do it. We'll see you guys next time on Creative Juice.
Peace out, y'all.